Hey Mike, how are you this afternoon?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well as well as can be this hot day. So for the viewers, tell everyone who you are and the name of your company and how did it come to be.
Sure. So my name is Brady. I'm the Executive Director of the Third Avenue Business Improvement District, or Third Avenue BID. We were established in 1988, and we're the Bronx's oldest business improvement district. Business improvement districts, BIDs, are part of a 75 organization network throughout New York City, and we're really charged with maintaining commercial corridors to ensure that they're robust, clean, safe, and beautiful. You hear a lot associated with business improvement districts, and I think at the crux of what we do here at the BID, and what separates us from some of our other counterparts, is that we have equity and inserted into our mission statement. And equity in a way that means that we advocate for not just equality, but equitable equality for all folks. It doesn't matter whether you're a small business, whether you're a large business, whether you are a mom and pop shop or a large franchise, whether you are a gay man, a trans woman, bisexual, lesbian. We feel and we acknowledge that our job is to create a commercial corridor that is a place where people can live, work, shop, and thrive.
Okay, and tell me what are some of the services that you may offer or do for the community as far as LGBTQ?
Absolutely. So we have a pretty robust array of services, from coalition building, which we've been working very closely with Destination Tomorrow, the Bronx LGBT Center, as you guys are aware, Boom Health, the center down in Manhattan, Montefiore Medical Center, to really establish a coalition that serves the Bronx LGBT community. And that's called, that group, that coalition of folks is called the Bronx LGBTQ Caucus. And I'm lucky enough to have the privilege to co-chair the caucus, and to really ensure that services are directed equitably, not only just this district, but throughout the Bronx. So some of those services include business development. We have a Hate Has No Business Here campaign, which teaches small businesses in particularly traditional commercial corridors to have the cultural competency and awareness to understand the LGBTQ community. Additionally, we do a lot of advocacy work with the Borough President's Office, the City Council, the New York State Senate Assembly, to really ensure that the LGBTQ community is protected and has the laws and the protections that are really meant for everyone. I think in this time where we're under constant threat by the federal government, you really need to look to the folks like Edie Windsor, Sylvia Rivera, Marsha Johnson, Harvey Milk, and really take some feathers from their caps to learn how did they organize and advocate for LGBT folks to ensure that we are where we are today. The fight's not over, the fight's just beginning.
So how do you reach out to the people so they feel, how does Third Avenue connect with the people?
Sure, so we have a full-time staff. We found that the most effective way to do outreach is on the ground, person to person. I think everyone is a fan of digital communication and things of that sort, but when you're in the poorest urban congressional district in the country, a lot of folks don't have a computer. A lot of folks only have internet service if they're hooked into a Wi-Fi.
Or a smartphone.
Or a smartphone, exactly. So the one-on-one discussion, the one-on-one conversation is really important. So we do a lot of time doing that, and a lot of outreach to the trans community, particularly along the Third Avenue Bridge, where there's this huge population of trans sex workers, and really understanding their needs. On top of that, working with the population across the spectrum, from homeless youth to folks who are suffering from substance misuse, to folks who ordinarily wouldn't think that they need services. There are folks in the LGBTQ community who think that they've made it and that they don't need services, but in actuality they do, and sometimes those are the folks who may need the services most. They're the folks who don't get tested, who don't use PrEP, who don't understand that we're still under a constant threat, and that our rights as a community are still not really codified and sanctified in government. So working through those things, but one-on-one and really bringing advocacy to a new level.
Okay, so what are the demographics that you really reach out to the most?
So we serve about 200,000 people a day.
Wow.
We are the second highest trafficked commercial corridor in New York City, second to Times Square. So we deal with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And in terms of demographics, about 76% of the folks that we serve are Latino. About 20% or so are African American, and then the rest is whacked up among Asian, Caucasian, and that's pretty much roughly everything. So we have a pretty diverse user group with a high concentration of Latinos. And part of what's, I think, really important is that often in the Latino culture, coming out, being gay, being a lesbian, being trans is critical in any community, but particularly in the Latino culture where you're constantly combating machismo, constantly with the threat that you don't belong. Services that we provide here open those doors, and services that our partners provide open those doors. So we really try to pay close attention to demographics and the changing demographics. We have one of the highest rates of elder population in the Bronx. A third of the Bronx's elderly population or aging population live within about 10 blocks of our district. So we really want to pay attention to not just the needs of the young people, which I think are really, really important, but also the needs of the folks who are often forgotten. Those are our folks who are a little older.
So with such a high amount of people that you're working with every day, how would your staff equip with working with so many different people?
It's challenging, to say the least. Every person comes through our doors or talks to our folks, our folks on the street, is different, right? You may have a CEO next to someone who's homeless, next to someone who's suffering from substance misuse, next to someone who just got kicked out of their home, right, by their parents. And I think that our staff, we go through fairly rigorous professional development training, but a lot of it is on-the-job training. We just hired 2 new staffers, and the fundamental thing that they need to understand is that every day is different. Every person that you meet has a different set of challenges, and you can't approach it with a cookie-cutter solution. And it's our job and our responsibility to, 1, assist the folks who need our assistance, and 2, to make sure that city government, state government, the federal government understands that there are no longer, we no longer have the luxury of cookie-cutter solutions. We really need to make sure that we understand that our solutions are bottom-up, comprehensive, and effective.
Okay, for the viewers, how can they contact you or Third Avenue Bid for services or information about what you guys can do?
Absolutely. So we have an open door policy. Anytime. Our office is open around 8:30 in the morning, and we're usually here till about 8 o'clock at night. We're open on Saturdays. Call our office. It's 718-665-3983. Email us at info@third, THIRD, Avenue, AVENUE, bid.org, or hit us up on Facebook at Third Avenue Bid, or Instagram, or Twitter. We're really active on social media, really high response rate. And the thing about the organization is that because we have that open door policy, we are fluid, we can change, we can adapt. We like to fill the gap that other folks don't fill.
Okay, thank you so much, and I'm definitely going to put everything in the description, and thank you for talking to me.
Great, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Great day.
Thank you. Awesome.